In this edition of Southern Newsweek, the government has announced a new three-phase strategy to deal with the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Dunedin Railways has decided to not sell 6 of its heritage rail assets. And one of Christchurch's biggest pool complexes is closed at the moment for a bit of TLC. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Associate Health Minister Aisha Virel has laid out a new three-phase strategy in the government's plan to combat the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Almost 1,000 people are isolating around New Zealand after coming into contact with either a confirmed or suspected Omicron case in recent days.
Adjusting the plan again. Addressing the nation this afternoon, Dr Aisha Virel warned Omicron could mean about 1,000 cases of Omicron per day across the nation. The Associate Health Minister was given the task of setting out the 3 phases of the government's new Omicron plan, which includes text notifications and other changes.
As part of the text notification, individuals will receive a link to an online portal called the COVID-19 Health Hub. This will provide tailored health advice and resources on everything a person needs to know in clear, translatable and accessible formats.
She says the government is already reaching out to people who don't use computers or smartphones. Overseas experience has shown Omicron is markedly less severe than Delta, with most people able to recover at home. The government says the public should expect more testing, both the traditional PCR tests and rapid antigen testing.
Strict protocols for those testing to return to work for critical workers will include daily symptom checks and daily rapid antigen tests prior to commencing work, strict use of a medical mask put on before entering into the workplace, changed as needed during the day, and strictly complying with any infection prevention and control protocols at work.
1 in 5 children under 12 have begun the vaccination program, with many adults getting booster shots recently. Director General of Health Dr Ashley Bloomfield denied suggestions by National Leader Chris Luxon that the government was controlling the number of rapid antigen tests available to businesses.
We have orders in, for example, we have orders in for around 40 million tests between now and the end of February. So far, we have confirmation for only around a third of those, around exact dates and numbers and when they will arrive. This is the same for businesses. What we have said to those suppliers is, in the meantime, we will ensure that we are getting confirmation of those orders and getting them on shore on behalf of all of New Zealand, including businesses.
Virel says although they've launched the 3-phase plan, it's not a foregone conclusion how quickly Omicron may spread. But she says the mantra of vaccinate, social distance, contact trace and mask up is more important now than ever, due to the highly transmissible nature of Omicron. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Residents in Tonga are still reeling after the massive volcanic eruption and tsunami which devastated the islands earlier this month. Dunedinites are helping out in a range of different ways, with the local Tongan community overwhelmed by the response so far.
Arms full of goods to be sent over to help Tongans in need. Members of Dunedin's Tongan community have been busy processing large numbers of non-perishable goods, all donated by locals. Many families here are still unable to contact their relatives in Tonga, but sending supplies is one way they can reach out and help.
But it's just not knowing that they, what's happening over there with them. So if we can help with food, get it to the villages, and then they can get it out to the families as well. So, yeah, that's what's happening.
The local Samoan community has partnered with their Pacifica friends in support of the Tongan relief effort. Coordinators are receiving so many items they can barely keep up with finding places to store them.
We've had to get more boxes. We actually started off with 3, but we've actually had to go get more boxes, and it's just been, just so overwhelming.
Charitable organisations are also continuing to raise funds for Tonga, with Save the Children NZ having collected more than $60,000.
The support and the love and with the community, with our Dunedin community, and just within our hospital community as well. It's just been wonderful. It's, we're just so thankful and grateful for everything that everyone's doing.
Non-perishable food items and other essential items can be dropped off this week at the Dunedin Hospital, Pacifica Churches and the South Dunedin office of Tairi MP Ingrid Leary. However, the Pacifica aid groups are still on the hunt for one important item. They need to secure a shipping container to be able to safely transport all the donated items to Tonga. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Dunedin Railways has backtracked on a plan to sell a selection of heritage rail assets. The council-owned company was hoping to sell items including 6 old wooden carriages because they were no longer considered suitable for a commercial operation.
Deputy Chairman of the Otago Excursion Train Trust, Grant Craig, is a happy man.
Ecstatic. It was a really good outcome of the work that we've done over this last week, and really they didn't have much options really. That was the best decision they could have made.
He's welcomed the decision to halt the sell-off process of the heritage rail assets after input from the City Council. Dunedin Railways Chairman Keith Cooper says the board's position hasn't changed. It doesn't believe the rolling stock is suitable for future commercial journeys, which is why it launched the now derailed request for proposals. But Craig believes the board jumped the gun.
I think they did. It really felt like a fire sale with the amount of time of the inspections, then dates given for proposals. Yes, it was rushed. I think that was very much a surprise to us and to the council themselves.
Dunedin Railways was put into hibernation in 2020 when passenger numbers fell dramatically due to the hit to tourism from COVID-19. The Train Trust says the 6 heritage wooden carriages deemed as unsafe were fully operational as recently as March 2020. It intends to fight for their survival at the Dunedin City Council meeting next Monday.
We're hoping they discuss the option of the Otago Excursion Train Trust, our business plan. So we're hoping that this would have brought it to the fore as well. So hopefully that's discussed on Monday the 31st.
The council is evaluating alternative operating models for the railway, along with options to store the classic carriages in the meantime. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A much-loved Waiteri resident has had a rousing send-off through the streets of the seaside settlement. Residents and friends flocked to Doctors Point Road on Wednesday to give Bruce Shepherd a colourful final goodbye. The tractor and trailer were out for the memorial procession, which celebrated the eccentric life of 72-year-old Bruce Shepherd. The former wool classer and horticulturist died earlier in the month. He lived in Waiteri for nearly 50 years and was known for making music, throwing parties and loving a good explosion. Shepherd formed the Waitati Militia Band, which performed in the local area and right across Otago. The colourful funeral parade attracted an assorted mix of locals, including 2 Buddhist monks and even a pony. One of Christchurch's biggest pool complexes has been closed over the last few weeks for a major maintenance overhaul. The QE2 pools were off limits to swimmers to allow for detailed cleaning work, along with maintaining circulation pumps, filters and heating systems.
A summer break for this popular facility. The Taiora QE2 Recreation and Sports Centre welcomes more than 700,000 people a year, but is closed to undertake maintenance every 3 to 4 years. Aquatics manager Rowan Foley says the work is planned for over the summer holiday period, as the council still has 5 other pools the public can use. But getting almost 1.5 million litres of water out of the largest pool isn't as simple as just pulling out the plug.
No, here at Taiora QE2, the way we do it is we empty one pool, we finish the work on that, and then we pump the water from the other pools into that pool and move on to the next job. So that way we save, over the course of the whole close down, we only need to dispose of water from one pool's worth of water, and that saves us on not only water but also chemicals and heating costs as well.
The work is scheduled during the summer holidays to minimise the impact on swim smart lessons and group bookings. After a day to drain the pool or move the water around, work can begin in earnest.
So it takes a couple of days per pool, and we have contractors that bring in more people when they have more work on. So we have up to sort of 4 or 5 people in the pools at a time. So there's never really a good time to close a swimming pool, but we feel like in the summer pool holidays, when we have other options, that's the best time for us to do it.
The planned work serves to preserve the pool and extend the lifespan of the equipment, as well as reducing unplanned closures and saving on operating costs. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek. A decision around potential changes to Dunedin's one-way system is causing concern for some business owners. And the Octagon was home to a parade of classic cars last weekend. Welcome back. Coastal fuel tankers may stop visiting New Zealand ports from April if global petrol companies get their way. But groups backing a campaign to keep coastal tankers operating here say fuel security is at risk, potentially leading to fuel shortages, price increases and job losses.
This could be one of the last visits south for the MT Matuku. Workers on board the vessel, berthed at Dunedin's Oil Wharf, were scheduled to talk with the South Today about losing their jobs in April if plans go ahead to end the coastal fuel tanker service. However, they were gagged at the last minute.
Well, I think basically all that's happened is that somehow the ship operators, ship management, have found that there's media talking about this, and they're nervous of what the people who charter them, the fuel companies in a roundabout way, are going to think of that.
Oil companies say the impending closure of the Marsden Point refinery means they can import refined fuel from overseas using foreign workers. But Maritime Union spokesperson Victor Billow believes stopping coastal fuel shipping will cause significant issues.
The crew's going to be losing their jobs, but it actually has big implications for New Zealand fuel security and how we get petrol delivered to our regions in this country.
3 unions representing local shipping crews are mounting a united campaign to protect the country's fuel security and save New Zealand coastal tankers. Billow says a significant number of workers will lose their jobs if the proposal goes through.
Well, it could affect around directly, just on the coastal tankers, around 80 crew members. That's ships, officers, engineers, seafarers, and these are skilled New Zealand workers in that field who will be losing their jobs if this goes ahead at a time when the government said it wants to rebuild coastal shipping, and we need to get that supply chain working again.
Coastal tankers move petrol, diesel and aviation gas around the country's major ports, including Auckland, Tauranga, Wellington, Littleton and Dunedin. The unions are asking the government to step in and help preserve the workers' jobs, as well as the future for a secure pipeline for the country. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A contentious decision around the fate of Dunedin's one-way system is causing a bit of a stir. Cumberland Street and the one-way going south would both become two-way roads, which has some business owners concerned.
The one-way status of Cumberland Street is proving divisive. Potential changes to State Highway 1 in central Dunedin are in the spotlight following a recommendation from Waka Kotahi NZ Transport Agency. It's recommended retaining the one-way system despite a majority of city councillors pushing for a transformational programme to reconfigure the heart of the city. Councillors voted by a 7-5 margin in favour of turning Cumberland Street into a two-way local road with a 30 km/h speed limit.
This is not a council idea. This is the result of a very extensive public process with considerable expert engineering, traffic management, transportation planning advice.
The programme endorsed by council would also introduce a northbound lane to the southbound state highway. Opinions from some businesses operating along Cumberland Street are split, with some in favour and some against the proposed changes.
I'm actually not too concerned about it being a two-way street. I think it'll improve the foot traffic around here.
I think that it'd be great to have less trucks and things like that going down there, a little less traffic, but where they're going to put the traffic is an issue.
I like it the way it is, but trying to imagine that cars going both ways, turning into driveways, again turning into the car, but turning into maybe an issue when it comes to traffic going north. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
Public sentiment has been strongly in favour of keeping the busy one-way system, with 76% of respondents supporting its retention in a recent ODT poll. Further discussion around the proposals will be held in April when Transport Minister Michael Wood visits the city. In Dunedin, the South Today.
About 40 vehicles from the early days of motoring paraded through the Octagon last weekend as part of the Dunedin to Brighton Veteran Vehicle Run. This year's event saw a steam-powered Stanley dating back to 1910 joining the rally for the first time.
Polished and maintained to perfection, motor vehicles from over 100 years ago filled Dunedin's Octagon on Saturday for the annual Dunedin to Brighton Veteran Vehicle Run. Among the 40 or so antique automobiles was this single-cylinder Cadillac, dating back to 1908. Built just 6 years after the Detroit-based company first started building automobiles, it's now owned by veteran enthusiast Wayne Nichol.
Quite a reliable old girl, 2-speed, very poor brakes, very slow up a hill and very fast down a hill. But it's a car that we have rallied in the North Island and around the south, and it's a beautiful old car to drive.
While Nichol has a trailer to transport the car around, he says when he does get to drive it, other road users show him plenty of courtesy.
We drove it from Queenstown through to Cromwell and all the peak time traffic, and I must say I had absolutely no bother with the cars. People could see this old car, made way, even stopped the flow of traffic to let me in.
Saturday's crowd enjoyed the display of so many roadworthy veteran cars in one place, and among all the polished chrome and brass ornamented motorcars was a vehicle recently acquired by Alan Familton, which is not powered by an internal combustion engine.
It's just got a steam engine under the back of it, directly coupled to the back axle, so it's permanently in gear. You open the throttle, it just drives away. No gears to change, no clutch, lots of benefits back in the day. Theoretically easy to drive, but reality not quite so.
An ardent steam enthusiast, Familton says he enjoys the attention his 1910 Stanley steam car needs while he's driving.
The faster you're going, the harder you're going up a hill, you've got to look after your water a bit more, and then at times, if it's a long hill, if you know how far the top of the hill is, then you stop putting water in and you try and catch up some steam before you get to the top of the hill, and then you put heaps more water in when you're going down the hill.
The rally is now in its 68th year, with most vehicle owners confident that their sputtering Surrey would make it over the potentially challenging hill that separates central Dunedin from Brighton. In Dunedin, the South Today.
There's a lot of high-profile building work going on in Invercargill around its major city centre redevelopment. The CBD project is due to be completed later this year, and developers are pleased with their progress so far.
It's a mammoth effort involving 200 workers, but Invercargill city centre redevelopment is right on schedule. That's the message from Invercargill Central Project Director Jeff Cotton, who is confident shoppers will be able to enjoy the first parts of the new development from mid-year.
The progress all on track. We've got our first opening, as you may know, in June of this year, with Farmer's Store opening. And currently we're standing on part of the car park, which some of it will be opened around the same time as Farmer's.
Alongside the anchor tenant Farmers, 250 car parks and around a quarter of the stores will open in early June as part of the first stage.
But I think for Invercargill and Southland, it's a major bit of investment that just glues a town together.
The $165 million inner city redevelopment started 2 years ago with demolition work of the majority of a full city block. It's a joint venture between private investors and Invercargill City Council, which is now proposing to invest a further $7.5 million into the project, along with a short-term loan. O'Donnell says the council wants the money to be able to adapt to any surprises.
At this stage, we're still on budget and on time. Okay. But hey, we've got 5 months to go and the world's a quite funny place.
The full project is expected to be completed and open to the public by Christmas. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek. The Otago Museum is farewelling one of its much-loved employees, with local fans turning out to wish him goodbye, and a lost magpie chick has found a home and friendship among a Dunedin animal lover, her black Labrador and cat. Welcome back. After 20 years of hard work, dedication and most importantly fun, the Otago Museum said farewell recently to a much loved employee. A crowd turned out to bid him farewell at the Museum Reserve as he helped set off one last gigantic explosion, all in the name of science education.
A final act in his dream job. Amadeo Enrique Ballestero helps some of his fellow science demonstrators at the Otago Museum set off one last massive explosion. He's leaving after 20 years, and his colleagues and boss all agree Amadeo is inspirational and hard to replace.
There's so much fun to be had in the understanding of things and how things work, but it's bringing that absolute joy and excitement that he genuinely feels, and that then gets it's infectious to everybody else.
Everybody, I think, that works with him comes away a better science communicator for it.
There is no replacing Amadeo. Amadeo's a unique character, and there'll be different people who do different things, and we'll carry on and do lots of fun education stuff, but it won't be a replacement of Amadeo.
Amadeo says the science communication side of the museum has grown significantly since he arrived 2 decades ago.
When I started, I was kind of like the science person that did programs for Discovery World at the time, and now there's a whole team.
While he's promising to return to help with science fairs and other public events, he was expecting today to be an emotional one as he leaves his dream job.
I'm hoping I don't break down at any time, but it might be that I end my day in tears. Yeah, I don't know.
Amadeo will continue teaching the younger generation in his new job, working from a newly constructed science lab at Christchurch's Breens Intermediate School. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Dunedin wildlife fans are hoping for a bumper sea lion breeding season this summer. So far, workers are aware of 14 pups born along the Otago Peninsula and 3 born in the Catlins. Counting and tagging began last weekend with many pups hidden along the coast, unlikely to be spotted until autumn. It's hoped the final count will show well over 20 pups born on the South Island this year. One Gore softball coach is ensuring his players are keeping their eye on the ball over the break in the season. The Southland under-13 softball players would usually have a few months break over the summer, but their coach is keen to keep up his team's momentum.
A friendly game to ensure their softball skills don't get rusty. Southland under-13 softball players got the chance to compete against each other this week in Gore. The tournament featured Gore's Kingswood team alongside Invercargill's Panthers, Dodgers and Demons. Coach Daniel Torpy organised the tournament to help keep his players ahead in the game during the sport's 2-month season break.
So there's quite a large break, and some of the kids that are new to the sport, they learn all these things before Christmas. When it comes to the second half of the season, they're back into it again, so they've forgotten what they've learnt.
It's been Toppy's goal for a few years to host the mid-season tournament, and his squad are enjoying being out on the Gore softball field.
Oh, it's good. I've never seen these grounds this packed for ages. And we haven't had a home game at all this year here, so it's good to have someone using it.
The softball season is due to be back up and running next month. In Gore, the South Today.
A lost magpie chick has been taken under the wing of a Dunedin animal lover. Lance White says his new pet magpie is getting on well with the other residents of the house, including a black Labrador and a cat.
Unlikely friends, happy to play together. Dunedin man Lance White has acquired a new pet, a juvenile female magpie called Pie, who he found as a lost chick about 4 months ago. His cat, Crunchy, is getting on well with the new resident, and White says he was happy to take the fledgling into his care.
I haven't had a magpie before, but I've had plenty of other birds, and I've helped the Dunedin Bird Rescue and that, rehabilitate ducks and seagulls and that here and then release them.
He says he was initially concerned that his cat, who is used to rough play with his dog, might harm the young bird, but the new pet is fitting in well.
They all get along, the whole 3 of them, magpie, cat and dog, are all best buddies, so sit there and one will be attacking the other and the other will come in and the magpie cleans his ears out and cleans all the eye gook out of them, and same with the cat, and yeah, no, they get on real good.
Pi was originally allowed to fly outside, but there were concerns she might have disturbed native falcons nesting nearby. White doesn't think it was his bird, but has decided to keep his feathered pet indoors for safety.
Because I don't want her to get destroyed just because they think that she's hassling the falcons or anything like that. Like 90% of the people that have met her and that think that she's amazing and awesome.
Despite the new addition, White reckons he's actually downsized his menagerie, but he's always open to rescuing other stray animals should they appear at his doorstep. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Like and subscribe to be notified of Southern news as it happens. Ka kite anō.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.